Hey, Care Partners, Teresa Youngstrom. So great to see you today. And I hope your week is going well. You know, this caregiving stuff is really hard. And that's why every week we try and put something out there that'll help you, inspire you. And we have another great speaker for you today. I want to tell you all about Stacey Thornberry. Now, Stacey, she is the president, owner, founder, of Homewatch CareGivers in Northern Kentucky. She has a background in human resources, hospitality, and office management. She cared for her own grandparents as they aged in place and developed a passion for serving the senior population with dignity, honesty, and respect. I love that. Stacy's very involved in her community and serves on the local board of education and also a variety of senior advocacy groups. Homewatch Caregivers provides personal care services and support for adults of all ages who are recovering, rehabilitating, recuperating in the residence or at a community, and who need someone to care for them like family. The company again is Homewatch Caregivers in Northern Kentucky. And she's proud to say that this was women owned and operated. All right, Stacey, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I know it's my pleasure to have you here. You know, we're always trying to find people who can inspire and educate caregivers, and you do that. You come alongside and really join families. And I've only heard great things about your company, and that's why I knew I had to bring you on today. So let me
Thank
get
you.
started with my questions. I've got a lot of questions, so let's go here. First of all, what led you into home care?
Well, what led me into home care was in 2000, I ended up taking care of my own grandparents. I was working full time in human resources in the hospitality industry, and my grandmother had muscular dystrophy. And she's had that for her whole entire life, but it's progressively gotten worse. And she was in a car wreck and needed to have 24/7 care. And at the same time, my grandfather was diagnosed with cancer. And so his cancer spread pretty rapidly. So he required 24/7 care as well. So I decided that I needed to be the one in the family to take the lead and to kind of coordinate all of this. And so I got my feet wet back in 2000. And during that time, I was able to learn about care plans, learn about what was important in regards to caring for someone because it was my own family. So I did it for a while by myself. And then we ended up hiring caregivers. So during that time, I had to run ads and just kind of do everything I'm doing right now, but on a very small basis and kind of do trial and error based on my own experience in the hospitality industry and what I wanted in the home to care for my grandparents. So it was very important. I knew skills that I was looking for, things I wasn't looking for, different variables in regards to trust and kind of organization, doctor's appointments, all of that. So I got my feet wet back in 2000 and once they passed, I did that for a couple of years. Once they passed, they ended up going back out into the field, getting trained even more in regards to hospitality service. And that's really been my focus is hospitality and service. And I have a passion for seniors. I ended up teaching silver sneakers over the years as well. And it just all came to fruition during COVID. I
Yeah,
was
because
home. Yeah.
what a difficult season.
It
You know?
was. So I had been having to work from home, not really have a job, just like the rest of the world. And you're kind of reevaluating things. I was reevaluating what is my purpose? What is my purpose that I am here for? And I decided to just push a little harder, meet with some people, take some evaluation quizzes, things that I was good at, skills tests. And I ended up meeting with a franchise broker and we did lots of tests. And I ended up with Homewatch CareGivers. So I haven't looked back since. It's been a ride. It's been very exciting, but I feel like everything's kind of coming to fruition.
I think that those of us who get into this because of a family member, I don't know, it's near and dear to my heart too, after caring for my mom and seeing that I needed a lot of help. Even though I'd been a nurse almost 30 years, I needed a lot of help. Even though I had worked in memory care, I still
Mhm.
needed so many things. And I had to reach out, you know, to Teepa Snow and other great mentors of mine to learn how to do this. And like you,
Mhm.
here we are, we go through it ourselves and we're like, oh my gosh, people all over need this. And you find then you're inspired to provide it for them. That's
Right.
so awesome.
I
Well,
think I learned, Teresa, was just the fact that I thought I knew a lot, but you really don't. you take care of a baby, but it's a lot different when it becomes an adult. Like the responsibilities are similar, but yet they're very different in regards to their care. And so I really had to reach out and learn from the caregivers exactly what I needed to do in order to make sure they were getting the right care they needed at the age that they were at.
Yeah, I understand completely because, like I said, I'd been a director of a memory care, and I thought for sure I knew how to take care of dementia, only to get
Mhm.
kicked out of the house, but my sweet mama, and boy, it was a rude awakening that I had a lot to learn. And
Mhm.
so, managing people is hard and caring for families because these are all different situations. So, what have been some of your biggest challenges doing, with your company?
Mhm. Well, some of my biggest challenges is finding the caregivers. I think that is definitely a challenge regarding the service industry right now, especially. But finding caregivers that are having the same work experiences or the work expectations that I have. And so my passion is retention. And so I focus a lot on that once I find good people and hire them. We focus a lot on that in this office, in this space, in my team. Like I have peer mentors, things like that, different programs set up to reward my caregivers to make sure that they're getting the training that they need. But even I've had to come up with some different types of recruiting because just throwing out a big net and hoping that people just respond, it's not like it used to be. I mean, it's a totally different world out there in regards to workers. And I think that it's been an eye-opening experience over the last few years. And I've you really have to get to know the caregivers. You have to get to know what their needs are for a job, and you really have to cater to them in order to get them to commit and provide the quality service that I'm seeking.
Yeah, I remember that. I helped start a private duty company in Cincinnati years
Mhm,
ago. And
mhm,
so I worked with a lot of caregivers. And like you, it was so important that they knew I was available to help and they
mhm,
weren't out there on their own. And we were happy to train. And but it was hard
mhm,
because in that industry, if someone wants to pay them 10 cents more down the street, they'll go.
mhm,
And so having to create like a family, I don't know if that's what
right,
you've done, but to at
mhm,
least invest in people. They're people. They're not
mhm,
just numbers, they're people.
right,
And but it is 24/7
mhm,
ongoing. And I remember that.
mhm,
Tell me what charges your batteries though to stay in this game? Because it's hard. So what
mhm.
joy charges your batteries?
I think there's a couple different aspects of what charges my batteries. I really take the caregivers and the clients equally. Like I think it's important that I am giving as much attention to the caregivers as I am the clients. So what charges my batteries is when a caregiver is with me for, they make it through their 100 days and we celebrate. And I'm able, they open up to us and let us know maybe what's going on in their personal situation. If I can get them an Uber or a tank of gas, if they're, something's going on, if they need a payroll advance. I don't do it all the time, but I'm here for them to try and help, any of those challenges to help them get to work. And I think it's important for me to recognize that. It's important for me to recognize that my needs are a little bit different than what their needs are. And I want to be that person that they can reach out to and ask for help. If it's in my means, I will help them. And that recharges my battery because they're staying, they're happy, they're bringing their kids to the office so we can get to meet them. They're they're bringing their friends to come work for us. So that makes me happy because I'm providing a good place for women to work, and I ensure that I support them out in the workspace. I want to make sure they're respected. I want to make sure they're treated with dignity. And then they're going to, in turn, give that to my clients. And in
Right.
regards to the clients, what gives me joy is when I get that call and they say, "Oh my gosh, the person you sent was perfect. It was absolutely the person I needed at the right time." Many times we get a call and they say, "We need to start right now," or "We need to start tomorrow." And it's very challenging in this industry. If you're not in it, you might not understand it. You might just think we have people sitting on the sidelines ready to go, waiting for the phone to ring. And unfortunately, that is not the case. We have really good caregivers. We train them in different areas. We have some extra caregivers that are trained in dementia. We have caregivers that are trained extra in hospice. Like, I have these little teams, these little mini teams. And I think it's important that I keep investing in those teams, because when something comes up or a call comes in and it's kind of like a crisis or emergency situation, we kind of do a little emergency response team, and we like a little SWOT analysis, and we try to turn it as quickly as we can. It might not be 100%, and I'm very transparent with the clients. Like, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be 100% 24/7 when you're asking me to staff this in the next day or two. But I promise you, I will give my best effort. You will have my best people, and we will do a good job. There might be some holes, but we're here to help you and come alongside you and be a solution person. But you have to give me a little bit of time to coordinate all of this. But being honest, and them being honest with me that what we did, the efforts we took, really, really helped them, that gives me the joy that we are doing the right thing.
I love that, and I love the transparency that you're offering. And,
Mhm.
if you are transparent and honest, I always found the families would understand, and they would hang
Mhm.
in there, until we did get the right team in
Yeah.
there, but
We
these aren't
were,
eas
yeah, it's hard. We were talking about this morning. We really have to adapt to the environment, right? And if we promise the world, then there's going to be disappointments. Anybody wants to say they're the perfect company. Anybody wants to say they have all of the correct processes in place. We are dealing with humans and
Mhm.
life. And as long as we're honest with each other, that you're going to get my best effort, or I'm going to come out, or my director's going to come out, but we're not going to leave you hanging. You know, we're it makes the biggest difference because the commitment level's there. And that's
Yeah.
what we keep encouraging our clients. Just keep the open communication, and we're going to keep it with you as well.
Yeah, and I bet they can feel that. There are a lot of home care companies in Northern Kentucky and in
Mhm.
Greater Cincinnati area. So tell
Mhm.
me, what is your company, your franchise, what do you guys offer that differentiates you from your
Mhm.
competition?
So we always try to be one that stands out, right? And everybody wants to be different and have their niche. So what I focus on is the fact that we want to provide a solution. I don't just want to send a body out to someone's home and say, here's, caregiver A, and she's going to be with you for the next 4 hours. Tomorrow you're going to get caregiver B. I like to provide as much consistency as possible. I want to be a solution provider in regards to care plans. Like, we're going to take on more than just maybe what some of the other companies do in regards to managing care plans, setting up doctor's appointments, communicating with multiple children at a time, providing transportation, really ensuring that our caregivers have that 12 hours of annual training a year that the franchise requires. That's not something I take lightly. I want to make sure that they're trained and they're set up for success before they go into a home or go into a situation where they're not familiar with. That's not fair to
Mhm.
them.
Right.
And they're not going to want to stick around either. The girls and the employees that I hire, they want to be successful at their jobs. So I have to do my part in making sure that they're prepared for success. And the other thing that I like to do is we make sure that we go out first every time. And I think that gives my clients reassurance, and it
Oh,
also
yeah.
gives my caregivers reassurance, because we're making sure that the environment is safe. We're making sure
Right.
that, we're going in and doing a safety assessment first before we're just sending someone out as a stranger. We're doing meet and greets on that first visit because we want to make sure the client and the caregiver click. We want to make sure that the caregiver understands what the expectations are for the shift, and also the client, because sometimes the client can get confused in regards to what we do as caregivers in regards to possibly a housekeeping service. And that's just something that comes with experience if they're new to this. It has to be explained pretty clearly. And then the expectations set. And I always want to be available to the clients in regards to call us, talk to us. We can get
Mm.
things resolved pretty quickly. And I also ensure that it might not be a good fit with the caregiver, and that's okay, because there might be a good fit with another client somewhere else. So, being again, that honesty, transparency, and then the extra efforts that we put in as a company to make sure that our girls and caregivers are set up for success, it's a big deal. And it does make the client feel comfortable as well. And I can always say on that first visit, we talked about this when we came out and did our initial consult. You still have the rugs down. This is a trip hazard. Instead of having the caregiver do that, it's coming from me up
Mhm.
first, letting you know if you fall, I have pointed out different opportunities for you to not have fallen, right? I'm pointing out
Mhm.
different risks that might be there. Or, you might be at a grab bar here. Like, we're going in and assessing the homes and doing a first assessment before the caregiver even gets there, again, which the caregivers like because it takes the pressure off of them.
Yeah, I like that. And so you're educating the families too, because
Mhm,
some of them just don't know that.
mhm.
And, they just got that big fluffy bathroom rug for Christmas. You
And
know?
there's some clients that don't want to get rid of their rugs because they look pretty. And
It's
you
true.
really got to have some hard conversations.
Yeah,
Like,
I
for
love
the
that you're
next two
educating.
months, you're going to have to take that rug up because you just had a hip replacement. It doesn't mean you can't put it back down, but your
Yeah.
life is going to be a whole lot easier.
It's so true, and I love how you treat each family, on an individual basis and send the leadership out first. That's so great for
Right.
the caregiver.
Mhm.
Tell me, where does your franchise, where do they serve? What counties maybe, or maybe what communities are you already in?
So we are primarily in Boone County in Kentucky. We do travel to outside areas if there is a need, and I do have staffing for that area as well. We get lots of calls because we serve just northern Kentucky in general. But if I don't have the staff in that area, I'm not going to take the case because I want to be the right fit for each client, and that's important for me. There's different agencies with different cultures. There are different agencies with different caregivers that are closer, and that might be a better fit for the client. So they really need to have the right fit up front, and it's okay with me being honest about that I might not be the agency for you.
Right. That is so good. Your caregivers, you said they get 10 hours of training. Do they get other screenings? Are there, drug testing, or what else do we do with caregivers these
Yeah.
days?
So we do our franchise, Homewatch CareGivers, requires 12 hours of training. And so what we do in regards to that each year is we make sure that they have at least 6 hours of dementia training. And we do that in person and we do it online. And if there's community courses, I'm happy to send the caregivers out to that as well. And I do pay them for that because I do believe there's different ways to learn. Some people learn better from the computer. Some people learn better from question and answers. So some people learn from experience and then they can go into a situation and ask more questions. So there's different varieties of training that I take advantage of. And we also bring experts into the office to provide the training. We are doing background checks. Of course, we're doing reference checks. Those are absolutely necessary. And then we're also doing drug tests. Anytime we suspect anything in regards to somebody that might be impaired, we're going out to the home. We're doing it right there. I want my caregivers to know my expectations. And if it's not up to that expectation that they're working, we're definitely having a conversation. I'm not scared to have that conversation because I'm putting my extra effort into them and I want them to do the same for me, the same level of respect.
That's awesome. So when you say caregiver, these are not nurses. These
Mhm.
are, private duty caregivers, like,
Correct. We are
CNAs?
non-medical.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we are non-medical. We're CNAs, we're STNAs. Um, the thing that gets confusing, and I'm sure you've experienced this too with a lot of clients, is they think that it's covered by Medicare. And there's a difference in terminology in regards to skilled and non-skilled. So
Mhm.
skilled is your occupational therapist, your physical therapist, wound care, things like that, the nurses that might be coming out. And that sometimes those companies have the name of home care in them, and it gets
Mhm.
confusing when they call. But we are the ones that are out there helping with companionship and personal care needs, toileting and bathing, running errands, meal prep, light housekeeping, those types of responsibilities. We work alongside skilled a lot. We learn the physical therapy that's being done. We learn the exercises that are being done, and we make sure that we're doing that. But it's important to know that we are the people that are going to be the hands and feet of the family that might need a break, might need respite care, or might need 24/7 care, or they might be going out of town. We're going to come in, or a lot of people are dealing with, as you know, Teresa, like this diagnosis of dementia, or they haven't been diagnosed yet, and they're just
Mhm.
frustrated. They're angry and they're calling us because they're angry and they're mad and they don't understand what's happening. So a lot of that initial phone consult is education. You know, like these are the things that might be happening right now. And these are the recommendations that I have before we even come out.
So I like that. I like that a lot. So do you ever hire some of the caregivers full time just so you got somebody in the wings all the time, or is everybody as needed? And is there a minimum requirement? Like if a family just needs you on Friday for 2 hours, is that a possibility, or do we need to then buy in for 4 hours or 12 hours?
Okay. Well, the first part of the question is I do hire full-time caregivers. So I
Mhm.
have quite a few full-timers and I have part-timers and I have PRN or as needed.
I like it.
We do have weekend caregivers as well. I try to give a shift differential on the weekends or overnights because those are harder to
Mhm.
staff. And again, I want consistency. So if I'm taking care of my caregivers, they're more likely to stick with me. Um, so we have a variety of different staffing levels. And then I also in that have small peer groups in regards to my mentoring. So if I have a caregiver that is um, showing an initiative to want to learn more or become more educated, or work with more caregivers, or I see something in them that they're doing on their own, I'm able to possibly promote them from within. That's the beautiful thing of this because I can find their skill set and I can work with that, and they're getting their needs met. They're getting a little bit more than just a caregiving position. They're getting a
Mhm.
little bit more responsibility. Um, and that gives them pride in what they do as well. So that's the first part of the question that you asked. And the second part is that we do have 4 hour minimum shifts.
Okay.
So we don't have a weekly minimum or anything like that, but we do ask for 4 hours and we do block scheduling because we find that block scheduling is easier for consistency of the caregivers. So we typically do 8 to noon or 1 to 5 or 6 to 10, something like that, where I could have a caregiver work all day long with different clients instead of coming up with like a 10 to 2 or something like that,
Yeah.
where it gets complicated because the girls, this is their livelihood. So the more consistent I can be for them, the more they're going to be, loyal to my company.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, I like that a lot. And I think families understand that in order to get consistent care, in order to get someone who's trained and all, you got to do at least 4 hours. But they
Mhm.
can come up with other jobs. And I've advised families, so yes, they need to go to this appointment or they need to be taken to the grocery store. And maybe that doesn't take 4 hours, but you know what? They can help with either they can do a puzzle with the resident if that's where they are, or
Mhm.
what if they did some little bit of, light housekeeping,
Mhm.
something
Yeah,
like that,
absolutely.
wipe down the kitchen counters or swept the
Yes,
kitchen floor, something
absolutely.
like that. And that I think frequently families don't understand that that's okay. We can
Mhm.
we can ask for those. I once had a family want my caregiver to wash all the windows inside and out in the house, and I said,
Mhm.
that's really above and beyond, but I think just light housekeeping, maybe throw in a load of laundry, something like
Yes.
that, or wipe down a bathroom. That's really
Mhm.
appropriate. And so
Yes.
families need to know that your caregivers do that
Yes,
too.
absolutely. The
Mm,
thing I haven't mentioned is we also go into facilities as well. So if
mhm,
we are needed in a facility, typically it's for someone that might have had a surgery and is recovering, and we can go in and sit with them overnight. If they are nervous at night about falling, or if they are, fighting off a cold or a sickness and need more one-on-one care, we can go into a facility and assist as well. We can even go into skilled nursing facilities and be that person. If the family is working, we can help them, make sure that the nurses are coming on time, or that, if they need to push the call button, we'll be able to help with that. So we're able to fill in different spots and different aspects, different areas, not just in the home.
That's so important because I think families don't realize that when you change someone's location,
Mhm,
there can easily be delusion. Or
mhm,
if we've been under anesthesia and now we're out, we may be confused for a couple of days. And,
mhm,
it's kind of like I was teaching the other day. If you go to a hotel room
Mhm.
I mean, at your house, the bathroom's on the right side
Mhm.
of your
Right.
bed. But
Mhm.
now we're in this hotel room and the bathroom's on the left side. And you kinda have to wake up and go, "Oh, yeah, we're
Where
on
am I?
vacation," you know? And so think about someone who's got, memory problems or has a
Mhm.
broken brain, the brain's deteriorating. You know, we wouldn't be surprised at all that they would be confused about where they are. And frequently,
Mhm.
they wanna get out of bed and they gotta go home. And
Mhm.
so to know that a caregiver's there, that's so great. And I tell the
Right.
caregivers, don't sit up next to the top of the bed. They lose peripheral vision. Sit near the bottom of the bed where you can see their face. That way
Mhm.
they know you're there. And, you
Right.
might even touch them. And that changed a lot of care for a lot of hospitalized
Mhm.
patients because
Mhm.
the patient was getting anxious because they didn't know the caregiver was there, but the caregiver was there. The
Right.
family did pay for the caregiver. So I love
Right.
that you're in facilities. I love that you're in the hospitals. I mean, so, so important. Like I said, the average Joe can have a delusional moment if they
Mhm.
wake up somewhere else. But after anesthesia, I remember
Right.
my mother-in-law calling and saying, I can't find the call light. She was able to pick up the cell phone and call me, knowing I'm a nurse, but yet she couldn't find the call light, and it's just part of what anesthesia can do to our brains the older
Mhm.
we are. And so,
Right.
yeah, it's just understanding that. Wow, Stace, this is so great. Is there anything else you wanna cover? Something we missed?
I
I wanna swing back, though, and I just want to make sure that everyone knows how to get a hold of Stacey Thornberry and when they need you. So tell us how to get in touch with you.
You can always give us a call here at the office. We're open 24/7. And if after hours, the phones come to me. So a lot of times I'll get calls, and it's okay. Somebody's in crisis at 9 o'clock. I'm able to help them and reschedule, a meeting the next morning or something like that. But phone number is 859-372-1200. Or you can visit our website. You can follow us on Facebook. I try to post as much as I can all over social media in regards to education. I try to hold events in the community regarding education. I try to attend networking events because everybody knows somebody. You might not need us now, but you might know somebody that might need us, and we can just go out and meet with them, make things comfortable, make a good interaction. So when somebody does need us, we're already prepared. And you guys, you're not dealing with a crisis situation. You say, I already know someone. And I've already met with them. So let's give them a call and see if we can get started. And it's much calmer, it's much more successful, and things just seem to go a little bit more routine and are great. So I love being out in the community. You'll see me out all over Northern Kentucky at all different types of events because that's where I feel people see my face. They can ask me questions. I'll talk to anybody, but I do focus on education because that is key and having resources around me to refer to people to.
I think you're an amazing resource out there, and your company is serving a lot of people, and just really the wisdom that we've learned in the last 30 minutes been incredible. Stacy, thanks for being so good at what you do. Thanks for being here with me today. Well, care
Thank you.
partners, this is Stacy Thornberry. Now you know how to get in touch with her, and I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. There's plenty more. This is episode 50, and we're excited for all of you out there. Be sure and like and subscribe and share this information. Someone you know needs Stacey Thornberry in Northern Kentucky. All right. Thanks, everybody. Keep in mind, you got this.